Hello, Facebook family and friends. Another beautiful Monday, Martin Luther King's Day today. Hope you're all enjoying your day off for those that have it. Seems to me like these federal holidays are being ignored more and more as time goes on. But that's just the way life goes, I guess. So we're here today. We're going to be we'll continue the conversations on Chapter 8, Getting Clean. We're going to be talking today about the recovery part. Last week we talked about risks that are part of our reason behind our drinking, because as I've said before, and as it said in that book of Alcoholics Anonymous, drinking, drugging, gambling, pornography, sex, overeating, any kind of addiction is more often than not just a symptom. It's not the cause. It's just a symptom. So we got to start addressing the symptoms. So those risk factors we talked about last week, whatever they are, we all have them. And they could be anything from emotional abuse, dad not being around, mom not being around, not feeling like we're enough, not feeling like we're good enough, sexual abuse, to physical abuse, to extreme trauma. Because there's just countless things that can cause us to turn to drinking for a little bit of comfort. And for many of us, we can't just do it the one time. It catches us right away, and we discover a whole new world. It's very deceiving when we first start to drink. So that's why we need to dive into the recovery part, not so much sobriety. Hey Judy, how are you? Not so much sobriety. Sobriety is important, so we'll talk a little bit about that today. But today we're going to talk about going through the recovery process, what it looks like. So the initial detox that happens to all of us, whether it's drugs or alcohol or even food or caffeine or whatever, gambling, whatever it is. Once we get through that initial period, being clean and sober doesn't seem so bad after all. The hard part, though, is staying sober. That's the hard part. And there's some approaches to that we got to look at hard. But quite frankly, hey, Jeff, quite frankly, in today's world, I'll say this, that it's just simply not drinking or using appears to be good enough for a lot of people. They have these consequences of their behavior in their life, and they say, well, at least I'm not drinking. So a lot of those people that aren't drinking, they just simply don't drink no more. Their behavior increases to the bad side. Their wives want to leave them. Their finances remain in shambles. They're constantly fighting legal battles. I've heard the stories over and over and over again. They can't understand why life is so hard, but they've quit drinking. And what they'll tell you is there's nothing wrong with their behavior or way of life. It's just the way we are. It's the way you are, yes, but we don't have to remain that way. I know for myself, I wanted more out of life. As successful as I was and all the things that I had in life, I still wanted more because I was miserable inside. Avoiding the alcohol and the drugs was not to fix, wasn't fixing that inside part of me that was broken. All that brokenness inside of me was not being fixed. It was still there. So I had to start. First of all, we have to remove the drugs and the alcohol or the substance or the addiction, whatever that addiction is. Remember, it doesn't have to be drugs or alcohol. It could be, again, food, gambling, sex. There's countless things out there. Codependencies. Codependency is probably causes more emotional death than any other disease that's out there. What got me started was the ability that I was lucky enough to be able to go to Betty Ford for 8 weeks as an outpatient. I was there in the evening time from 5 to 9 for 8 weeks. This is back in 2006 when they still had it in the evening time. And it was because when I walked in there, and prior to that, my therapist had already been doing this, but I learned that I wasn't alone. with all these issues that I was dealing with. Some more severe, some not as severe, some as severe. And it doesn't matter. Trauma is trauma, and you always hear people say, "Well, God damn, listen to your story. Mine wasn't that bad." Well, it was that bad, and we can't minimize our trauma. Everybody that has trauma has trauma. Everybody's life is their life. It's no better, it's no worse. It's for them. It is what it is. We have to realize that. And just because we see things as not so bad, well, what's wrong with that? It's no big deal. Well, maybe to you it's not, but to them it is. And what we try to do is too often, especially in recovery, people still do this, is they try to interject their feelings on other people. Well, just get over it, man. It's done and over a long time ago. That's what I did. Well, that was you, not me. And that's not good enough for me. So we've got to learn how to empathize with people and not interject our, hey, Toby, not interject our feelings and what worked for us in such a way that it's imposing to that other person. It's okay to talk about what worked for us, but we need to do so in such a way that, hey, I went through something similar as you went through. Not quite the same, but pretty similar. These are some of the things that I use. I just want to let you know what they are. They might work, they might not. But too many people want to tell. You need to do this. You need to do that. If you don't do this, you're going to do this. And that doesn't work. People have been told what to do all their lives, and obviously it hasn't worked. Okay? One of the things that I had to do, a therapist tried to get me to do it for 3 weeks before I checked into Betty Ford, was she encouraged me to go to AA meetings. And I said, no. I'm not one of them. Well, when you go to Betty Ford, or when I went to Betty Ford, at that time I had to attend meetings, at least 3 a week. Well, 3 a week is, if you tell me 3 a week, I'm going to do 10 or 12, and that's what I did. I was going to go above and beyond. That's what I've done all my life, to make sure that I got it right, or to prove those right or prove those wrong that were calling the other things. In doing so, those alcoholics that I thought were just the winos underneath the bridge, living in the gutter, living in the streets, there were people just like me. There were everyday business people. They were business owners, their mothers, fathers, attorneys, doctors, lawyers, and God forbid, pilots. So they're everybody. They're not just the ones you see on the street. Those are the desperate cases. But believe me, the people sitting in the top of a penthouse on Wall Street can be just as desperate as that person that you see on the street. They just got the means to hide it better. But we don't know what's behind those walls once they walk in those doors. It took me a couple weeks to break down my ego. Even at that. And once I did, I just realized that I am one of those people. Oh, you're one of those people. Yeah, I am. And you know what? I'll tell you today, I'm really glad that I am one of those people. Because if I wasn't one of those people, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So I'm proud. I'm grateful that I'm one of those people, that I am where I am today. I started feeling better. It took me probably a couple months to really start to feel better. Just all the detoxing. I walk into the meeting and how you doing today, Randy? Oh man, I'm not feeling it right now. My head's spinning. I got all these thoughts going on. They said, well, you're right in the right place. I used to hate that. And I used to think, well, I was in the right place by being in the meetings. And the fact is, I was in the right place where I was in my detox. And they knew this because they'd been there and they'd seen when I walked in the rooms and how long I'd been in the rooms. I've become willing to do whatever it was going to take to change my life, not just quit drinking and using. That was after I got past the initial detox, where Kathy would come home on a Friday night to the dark house, and I was in the corner of my reclining chair, shaking like a leaf. After I got past that, I started to feel okay. But I wanted more than just not drinking. I had all these issues that I needed to deal with. So I was willing to do whatever it took to change my life. Whatever it took to change my life. I surrendered to the fact that I was an alcoholic and can never drink again. Now today, I respect those words a lot, and I believe we got to use those words, especially when we first walk into treatment. Hey, I'm an alcoholic. And that's just a reminder to say, hey, look, you got a drinking problem, right? It's not to say you're a bad person. Dr. Gabor Mate said this in a whole group of therapists or clinicians one day. He asked the question, he goes, why are we calling ourselves alcoholics? Such a negative connotation attached to our name. The reality is that we struggled with alcohol for X amount of years. So I believe at first you need to know you can't drink. And I believe wholly with Gabor Mate. Why do I want to keep attaching myself to something I'm not? I struggle with alcohol. And today I celebrate recovery over alcohol. I know I can't drink. Okay? And even in the big book, this is where 100 men and women that have recovered, fully recovered. And I believe the reason they said that is because back when AA first started, God was God, not a higher power of your understanding, not a tree, not a fan, not a radiator. All these false gods that are being used today in Alcoholics Anonymous and other recovery centers approaches, they don't work. I believe that's probably solely next to not dealing with our underlying issues. That's why there's so much relapse. That's why there's so much relapse. And I'll tell you that if I didn't have that God in my life, I wouldn't be here today, because what I had to deal with to recover myself, to go through the process of recovery, to walk through the pain of my past, not around it and not over it anymore, I couldn't have done it without God, because it hurt. It hurt like hell. But see, I quit drinking. How was I going to deal with my underlying issues now? How was I going to anesthetize those feelings of shame and my sense that I was less than good enough? What I found out was I wasn't, and I couldn't. There's nothing I could do. I had to walk through the shame and the pain without my anesthesia. I had to feel it. It was there. It never went nowhere. The pain never goes anywhere. It's always there. I had to travel into the depths of my mind, where I'd stored all those memories under layers of drugs and alcohol. They didn't go nowhere. Under my denial, falsely believing that I could just make the sexual abuse and my memories of it disappear. Yeah, Randy, you need to forgive, forget, and move on. And eventually, somehow, Randy, they're going to magically just vanish. Well, God created us. And He created our brain. He created the amygdala, where a lot of our emotions are stored. And at the right time, they're going to come up. Mine never went away. Mine were always there. I never denied it. I used it. I used it to my advantage. Well, I thought to my advantage as a victim. Hope if you already know that this is how life works, that this isn't how life works, that it just goes away. You've got to, if you believe that way, you've got to switch your thinking, because I can tell you it's not just going to go away. And sometimes those memories will come up at the most inappropriate times in your life. But if you know that that isn't how life really works, you're leagues ahead of where I was when I entered treatment. Because that's the only thing I'd heard. Hey, Ron. Hey, Kelly. Hey, Kelly. Good to see you. That's where I was. I had to unpack all the old baggage, and I had to do it sober. Savannah. Hi, Savannah. I couldn't do it with the magical, mystical anesthetizers of drugs, alcohol, or whatever else. Mine was drugs and alcohol. But what made a difference this time was I had the love of my wife, Kathy, and I had the help of a great therapist, Deborah Mines Pearson, and I had great encouragement from my sponsor, Dave, Boy Spiritual Dave. That's what was my support team, and they believed in me, and they walked me through these processes. And I also had one more thing that was really driving me, and that was my back was firmly up against the wall. I knew that if I chose not to do the work that was necessary for me to heal, I would certainly drink again, because I'd done it once before after 2 years of abstinence. I have seen too many survivors resume drinking because of their unwillingness to do this work. And I have seen too many survivors and been on the other end of a phone call with people attempting suicide because of the immense pain that comes up while this work is being done. You need a support team that can be there for you when you need them. You need a support team that's going to listen to you and love you unconditionally, not judge you for what happened to you. It's so critical. My suggestion is this, and I'm a big advocate for this, and I push it. The big book says you cannot transmit something you do not have. So when you're working with a sexual abuse survivor, or you're a survivor, I should say, you need to find somebody that's been in your shoes, and not somebody that has also walked out of your shoes into a new pair of shoes. This isn't an easy journey that can be completed quickly. It's a lifelong journey. You've been dealing with these situations for God knows how long. And so however long you've been dealing with them, it's going to take perhaps that long to get over them. And what you do is not get over them. You're going to work through them. And what you're going to do is you're going to learn tools along the way so that when you get triggered, which will cause a relapse if you don't have these tools, and I've seen it happen a couple times, then you have the tools to walk through it. You'll be able to pick up the 500-pound phone to make the phone call that you so desperately don't want to make, but so desperately need to make. It's going to be extremely difficult. It's like traveling. It's like traveling for the rest of your life. You're going to be traveling on this journey for the rest of your life. It's difficult. It gets easier, and you'll get to a place where you can live life happily ever after. But you have to do the initial work to get there. If you skip a step, that step's going to come back to bite you. Say, I get triggered today, especially when it comes to the spiritual abuse part of my life. I do get triggered. But I know what I got to do. I don't stay there. And I know where that trigger comes from, and I know that trigger isn't true. And that's a whole difference. It's like you're acting a certain way. You can't figure out why you're acting a certain way. And then you sit down with somebody and they say, well, this is why you're acting a certain way. This is what we call, just for instance, codependency. You're codependent, and that's why you're acting controlling and all this stuff. Oh, that's great. How do I fix it? Well, if we don't know what's causing the why, you won't fix it. Oh, my sexual abuse is why I'm such a jerk all the time. Great. Now I'll just figure out how to live life like a nice guy without getting to the underlying issue. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. We have to get to the underlying causes of condition. If you're in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, on the top of page 64, that's exactly what it says. Remember that recovery is a marathon, not a sprint. So make sure you have realistic expectations about your recovery. If you're going in there thinking, boy, it's crazy, I can get this done in 6 months or a year, good luck, and let me know how that works with you. because I've seen that happen one too many times, and I don't feel like seeing it again. I've seen it fail countless times. I've seen people come in and start to get their life together, and then they start feeling really good. And next thing you know, hey, what happened to so-and-so? Well, he thought his life was good, and he started playing around. Next thing you know, he's relapsed, possibly dead, possibly committed suicide, possibly in jail for the umpteenth time. Because what happens, people forget where they came from, right? They forget where they came from, and they forget what got them to where they're at today when their life is so good. There's no cure for surviving sexual abuse, and nothing will make the memories go away. They're gonna come up. They might lay repressed in your mind for years, and I have no doubt that that can happen. As a matter of fact, I know a 65-year-old man that he repressed them for 65 years, but when they come up, it's going to do one of two things. If you haven't done your work, it's going to really shed light on why you are the way you are, and hopefully drive you into getting some help for yourself. If you've done your work and it come up, hopefully you've done enough work where you have the tools to work through the issue that comes up. To stop, say, wait a minute, this isn't happening to me today. I have no reason to be acting this way. There's countless things self-talk you can do. But recovery, this is where recovery comes in, the hard work. You can choose not to drink and use and do all that. But that's, just go through a couple of weeks of detox, and that's what you do, God bless you. But I haven't seen a whole lot of people, I haven't really seen anyone that's made that choice and had a happy life. And I haven't seen anybody that's done half recovery and had a truly happy life. They get to the point to where they feel good. That's good enough. I'm going to go on with my life now. But somewhere down the line, things happen, and they don't know how to deal with it. True recovery is a return to a normal state of health and body and mind. Okay, you got to remember that. It involves regaining control of something that was stolen or lost. Our childhood innocence. For most of us, it was our childhood innocence. People ask, what is spiritual abuse? The minute you are physically, emotionally, or spiritually abused, physically, emotionally, or sexually abused, it might happen once or twice, and that's okay. But if it's a continual thing, it's two forms of spiritual abuse. One, your spirit of the child was robbed from you. The innocence of the spirit of that child was robbed, and that's abuse. And the other part is people of authority using their authority to coerce or manipulate you into doing what they want you to do. The big book says we have to become rigorously honest. Where does that rigorously honest, where does our rigorous honesty start with? It starts within ourselves. Okay, it starts within ourselves. We have to be rigorously honest with ourselves. And when we are, we'll discover just how much of our life was stolen from us. The one thing I get angry about today is not Jack, not my mother. That they're forgiven. That's done over with. What I get angry about is that so much of my childhood was robbed from me. Period. And I can say it, I feel it, I tell my wife, and then I move on. All I got to do is express it. And my wife knows that. And then I'm good. One thing about survivors that have done work, and I'm a believer in this, that we can learn how to actively seek to handle adversity, seek tools that can help us handle our adversity and turmoil, and develop the discipline and skill to lead kind, compassionate, and wise lives. I'm extremely kind, compassionate, and wise. And I said humbly. Just ask anybody that I mentor with. There's times, even when I have to be hard on somebody, it's done with compassion and love. Okay, and I use the wisdom that God's given me to help those people. If it wasn't for everything that I experienced in life, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. I wouldn't have written this book. I wouldn't have my foundation. I wouldn't be able to help all the couples my wife and I are helping, and the men that I'm helping, and the women that Kathy's helping. Because that doesn't come from books. Yeah, books are great. Academics are great, but where you learn how to really work with people, connect with people, is life. There's no better experience than life. Life hard and then life good. Most of us also, there's other things, that most of us are very successful people. And we've got our success how? By working hard. We got what we want in life because we worked hard for it. We're taught to work hard for things. So why wouldn't you work hard to do the things that's going to change your life for a life that you never imagined you could have? Yeah, well, you know what, man, I got a pretty good life right now. I got all this money. I'm going to do this. I go, yeah, but how are you emotionally? How are you spiritually? Sit down and really get honest with yourself about that. All the material things are great to have. Believe me, I've had them all. But when it comes down to it, I wasn't happy. I was miserable. And now I can truly say I got far less than I've ever had. Not ever had. I've got far less than I've had in my life in the years that Kathy and I have been married. But I'm happier than I've ever been. I still have my challenges. I'm not going to lie. I'm not perfect. I'm human. I hated leading that life of fear. It was so filled with fear, chaos, and turmoil. So I had to change. And it was going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort. And like I said earlier, you can't do this alone. You've got to find the right people in your life to do this with. Otherwise, you're doomed. You've got to find people that are going to walk with you, that are going to understand you, that are going to love you, that aren't going to pat you on the back and tell you what you want to hear, that are going to say, hey, maybe you better maybe you might want to look at things a little bit differently than what you're looking at them. Your perception seems to be a little skewed. Just why don't you think about looking at it this way or looking at it that way? Because what you've been doing hasn't been working for you, so we need to make a change. So these men and women that are going to help you are men and women that have walked the road ahead of you. And hopefully, like I say, if you've been sexually abused, you're working with a survivor that knows how to work with other survivors, because it can be devastating if you have somebody try to help you that has no clue. I was really fortunate that my sponsors, all my mentors, and even to this day, tell me, I can't help you with your abuse issues. I don't know how to. I haven't been there. I haven't been there. Have it happened to me. I haven't been there on the healing process. I can't help you. We'll help you with everything else, but I can't. That's the kind of mentor you want. Somebody that's going to be honest and not money hungry and want to just help you because it's more money in their pocket. And to be honest with you, God help. I had a great therapist. I love my therapist. She was wonderful. And that's why I say this. And she's even said it. There's more therapists out there. Probably 90% of the therapists out there do not know how to deal with men that have been sexually abused. So you've got to be really careful. So one thing that helped, to get me jump started, and I believe that everybody, whether you're alcoholic or whether it doesn't matter, everybody should be doing a 12 steps program. You don't have to go to AA to do it. You can have a good, my therapist, she was great. She was believing in the 12 steps. You can have a mentor or coach that believe in 12 steps. I believe in them. You can do them with them if they've been through them themselves. But embarking on that 12-step journey was really daunting for me. And when I walked in the rooms of AA for the first time and saw all the steps written on the wall, I thought they were asking a whole lot of me. And every time I looked at that, I would get shivers. I was so scared. I figured that, let alone doing step one, how am I going to do all 12 steps? So recovery is the hard part. Sobriety is one. And recovery is a whole nother game. If you think just drinking and using is not enough for you, it is enough for you, okay, great. Enjoy your life. Hope it all works out for you. And for some people, that might be very possible. I'm not saying everybody. I know I talk in general terms, so you just got to get used to it. And I know that all people aren't the same. I cannot argue that point with you. But the majority of people that I ran across, and I see it today, I've seen people that have been in meetings for 4 years, and I hear them. I hear them talk the same thing that I heard them talk 4 years ago. And they said they've done the steps this many times. It's like, well, you're not doing the steps right, or you're not working on your recovery right, because there's absolutely no change needed. I know for me, I wanted recovery. I wanted a better life. I wanted my wife to love me. I wanted my kids to love me. I wanted them to respect me and look up to me. I don't want to be a terrible father anymore. Okay? So it's a choice we all got to make. And I know that when people come to Kathy and I for help, we talk a lot about why they are the way they are. And it's been 100% proven that it all has to start somewhere in their childhood with the way they were brought up by their parents. Not good or bad. It just, that's what it is. And we can fix it. All right? So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me. Next week we'll do part four of chapter 8, and then we'll move on to chapter 9 the following week. Or actually, you know what? Next week I might not be here. I'm going out of town. If I have the time, I will do the live feed, but I'll be at a pastor's retreat for 3 days, 2.5 days. So next week might be a day off, an off day if you don't see me. Okay? Remember my life coaching. Kathy and I, we work with a lot of couples. I'm a certified SYMBIS facilitator, and what that is a little, lack of better words, the test you take. Not really a test; it's just a questionnaire you take. You answer all these questions. Your spouse does it on one end, you do it on the other. You don't look at each other, you don't talk to each other. It takes about 30 minutes to do, and then once you get that done, they send me a notification saying that you're complete. I get the report, I review it, then we get together and we go over this report. And this report has absolutely been 99.9% accurate. So far, I think we've got 4 couples we've been doing it with, and we've got a couple more lined up. And what it does is it just tells you how you view certain things in life that are similar, that are parallel in marriage. You know, for example, make it real simple. You know, how the husband might look at finances. And you're over here, maybe you're going right now and you go, man, how come he's so weird with his finances? Or how come she's so weird with the finances? Well, what will happen is this report will reveal why your spouse or fiance or husband or wife, why they are the way they are with finances. And the other spouse, why they are the way they are with finances. And what happens is that allows you to go into this marriage or into this relationship going, okay, this is why he's this way, so we've got to come to a mutual, or I've got to come to an understanding, and then we've got to come to a mutual understanding how we can work our finances together, keeping in mind both of our attitude towards money, both of our attitude towards love, towards sex, towards a ton of stuff. So Kathy and I we do that. It's a really good foundation for the marriage. You don't have to be getting married. You can be married. It's a couple of the couples, myself included, and, have been married for some time, and they're taking it, and it's really helping them understand where each other's at. Great conversations. It takes about 30 minutes to do the survey, but then revealing the report could take up to 6 hours. So it's not a real economic thing, but it's well worth it. It'll save you a lot of headaches in the end. Okay. And then I also deal with addictions naturally, and abuse is my big thing. I love working with men that have been abused. And then the inner healing, which goes along with spiritual healing. And those that really struggle with God, that's my favorite. I like working with them guys because that's how I was, and it's real simple. It's okay. All right. So visit the website, changeyourlifestorynow.com, changeyourlifestorynow.com. And if you're interested in getting any kind of life coaching or at least talking to me about it, get started with it. Hey, it's your life. You deserve a good life. So we all got hurts, habits, and hang-ups. Just go to the website, fill out the contact form, and I'll get back to you usually within 4 hours or less. Okay? Remember my book you can get, Healing the Wounded Child Within. It's on Amazon. It's on paper book, Kindle, an audio book. You can also get my 30-day devotional. To Wholeness. It's on paperback and Kindle as well on Amazon. And you can get the little 7-day challenge workbook I got that goes with my book. And that's they're all on Amazon, and that one is on paperback and Kindle as well. So please pick up one of those books. And then if you've already read my book and you haven't done so, just go and do me a favor and leave me a review, will you please? I'd really, really appreciate it. Visit our website, courageoushealers.org, courageoushealers.org. If you'd like to make a one-time donation or be a monthly contributor, visit our website and click on the Donate Now tab. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so all your contributions are tax deductible. And all the money that's donated goes straight to the foundation. Nothing comes to me, nothing comes to my wife. It all goes to the foundation to help grow the fund so we can eventually, hopefully, in the next couple, 3 years, get a facility where we can actually start seeing clients on a regular basis, regular type hours, at all time. And then also what the funds they go to our workshops, they go to our conference fees and all that. So really appreciate it. Anything you can give would be wonderful. We really appreciate it. I don't care if it's $10, that helps a lot. So it doesn't have to be nothing big. And then for every $60 donation or more, I will send you a signed copy of my book, Healing the Wounded Child Within, and a copy of my 30-day devotional to wholeness. Okay? Remember, we got our Courageous Healers Foundation collaboration with Change Your Life Story Now. We have a workshop series coming up called Unmasking Yourself. We have a first one coming up on March 14th. It's personal communication. You can go to the website, courageoushealers.org. I'm going to actually post a link to the right to this page. Click on the workshop tab, and you can see a description of all these. But personal communication, March 14th. September 12th, the Secrets and Lies, where we'll figure out we'll explore the ways of how our secret keeping began. Believe it or not, it's hey Tari, what's up? It's a really you'd be surprised how your secret keeping and lies began. You'll also understand how and when you lost your voice. So when I say lost your voice, it doesn't mean that somebody told you to shut up. There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. The insight to your secrets, into how our secrets have silenced us, and we'll provide tools and methods to help you break your silence and release your secrets safely. And the last one is forgiveness. And this one will be really powerful. It's right before Christmas on December 5th. I urge you all to get involved in all these workshops. They kind of feed on top of each other. And it's going to be really eye-opening for you as well. They're not too badly priced right now, but as we grow and grow, they're going to naturally get more and more expensive to cover different costs. So we're trying to keep them down at the minimum cost as we can right now. Okay, so if you, I'm going to give you the link right now. And this computer's not. There it is. Okay. Well, the link's up. I don't know what's going on with this stupid computer. There it is. So the link's up to take you right to the workshops, okay? So that's it for today. Thanks for joining me, y'all. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to do this. Like I say, I don't know that I'll be here next Monday as I'll be out of town at a pastor's retreat, but I might do it a little bit earlier if I can. All right, remember, if nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does. Be blessed, everybody, and have a super good week. Love you all. Bye.